Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Nicole. Long time no see for those of you who have been here a while. That is totally my bad. I'm so sorry. But today I am back and I'm going to be kicking off my favorite time of the year, and this officially marks the beginning of new planner season on this channel, and I'm so excited. So today's video is going to be a flip through of my setup for my creative journal in my B6 Take a Note planner. And in an ideal world, this video would come out after my 2024 lineup video, but this is the only planner in my lineup that I am 100% committed to. So I thought I would just get on here and show it to you, and then as the rest of my lineup sort of develops around it, we could do the lineup video later. So for my creative journal this current year, 2023, I was using the A5 Take a Note for the first half of the year, and then after that I sort of abandoned it reluctantly. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I actually really love that planner. It's the week on 4-page layout. It's super versatile and I really liked it, but I just went through a lifestyle change where I used to work entirely from home, but now I switch jobs and work full-time in the office. So not only am I losing things like my lunch break and my commute time, but I'm also like not around my supplies. So when there's downtime in my job, sometimes I would go in and write a few things down. And now that's not really an option. I don't take my journal to work. I don't do anything like that. So recently, ever since I switched jobs, mainly I have only been in my journal on the weekend, which kind of sucks because now I just don't have the time or honestly the energy, like physically, to do a week on 4 pages anymore. But when I saw that Take a Note came out with a new B6 planner, I was super intrigued. It is absolutely not the same as the A5 Take a Note though, and we'll go through it as I flip through what I've set up, but it is a week on 2 pages, not 4 pages. It's totally different. Oh, also, I have actually been in this planner since the beginning of November when I first got it in the mail, and I basically have set up mock weekly spreads in the back notes pages, and I've been using it. So this is going to be a flip of the initial setup for like the yearly pages and whatnot, and an explanation of how I plan on using the planner, but then also it'll be a flip through of November as well. So we'll start off with the planner itself and the cover that is in. This cover is from Betsy Handcraft on Etsy. It's the Hobonichi butterfly clasp style cover, which I have found has been one of my favorite cover styles. I was a bit worried because B6, one, it isn't a common size. I mean, it's more common now, but it's definitely not as common as A5 and A6. And also B6 is not super standardized. Like, you can say something is B6, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's exactly the same size as your planner unless you're looking at like exact dimensions. So I was really excited to find someone who did this style of cover in the B6 specific size that I was using. So I am obsessed with it. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of like cat hair and lint on this, which is just, par for the course when you have 2 cats and you have a cloth cover. So this is a cloth outer cover, and on the inside, I believe this is PU leather. So yeah, super cute. I really like it. I love the dark green with the like birds. It's so cute. So that is the cover, and then opening it up, I do have both sides of the planner tucked in, which usually I don't do. Something with the Take a Note planners in particular, I don't love the cover material. I don't know, it makes me nervous because it's like construction paper, so it kind of feels like one of those covers where like any sort of oil on your hands is gonna show, and I have really oily hands, so I'm not a fan of it. So I do want to like at least like while I'm using it, keep it protected and sort of tucked in. When I typically like wouldn't do that with like a Hobonichi, I'd keep the front cover out. Okay, I just want to say sorry if this video is a little chaotic and all over the place. It has been a while since I have filmed something for YouTube, so I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants until I sort of, remember how to do this. So I think what we're going to do is just flip through and I'll show you what I have. And then as we go through each part, I'll show you sort of also the general layout of the B6 Take a Note, which I think will be helpful because this is a new planner. It just came out this year. You have this like interesting graphic 2024 thing. I really actually like this. So I used to not really like brown, and that's another reason I kind of wanted to put the cover inside here, because this particular shade of brown is usually not my favorite, but I really like it with the gray for some reason. I'm not sure. I think it's like the addition of the cool tone, but I really like that. So this is actually really nice and I'm going to keep it. And then we open up and have the year at a glance. So for my initial setup pages, so like any of the yearly pages, I basically stuck to two main design elements. I'm using this alphabet Scrabble tile sticker sheet from Pipsticks and this rainbow star cloud washi tape from See Amy Draw. If I can find links for anything that I'm using, I will put them down in the description box below. But those are the main supplies that I'm using for these opening spreads. So on the 2024 overview here, I am using this to mark days off. So that is both holidays and like PTO days for my job. I really like to keep track of those. And I think it's both helpful like throughout the year as I'm like planning when to take my time off, and also like when I want to look back on how I used PTO in the past or when holidays fell in the past. So I like to have that. And on this page, you have a little tracker. So you have all of the months and then you have all of the days here, and your weekends are in brown while your weekdays are in gray. And this is really cool. And there's a lot of different things you could use for this. But what I really miss, which is something I did in my Take a Note this year, but then I kind of fell off, was I really like mood tracking. I think it's so much fun. So that's what I plan on using this page for. It does have this space where you can like write, if you were tracking like different things, you could write what you were tracking here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use that since I am just tracking my mood for the whole year, but something I was thinking was maybe like tallying up how many like good days or bad days I had. I don't really know how I'm going to do that yet, but I have until January 1st to figure it out. So yeah, that's these opening two pages. And then we move into the perpetual calendars, which I did not decorate because I felt like there really wasn't a great way to decorate this for how I was intending on using this. So my plan for this is very similar to how I was using it this year. So I plan on putting my Spotify receipts here. So if you're unfamiliar with Receiptify, it's like a third-party app that uses your Spotify data to give you your top 10 songs each month. And then it gives them to you in like the form of a receipt, and it's really cute. So I like to generate those every month, and then I planned on putting them here, like, each month. And then in this bottom section here, I want to track social media stuff. So mainly like follower counts and sub counts on Instagram and on YouTube, and then also like number of videos posted, because I really am hoping to get back into more YouTube in the coming year. I really fell off of it and it made me really sad. So I want to get back to that. So I want to track all of that stuff at the bottom. And then as I'm putting stuff here, I will use like the washi tape to decorate around it. But for now, I'm just leaving it blank because I don't know exactly how much space I'm gonna have to decorate. So then we move into the monthlies, and in this planner, here, let me flip to one that doesn't have anything on it. So this is what your monthlies look like. It's a very small calendar. They do not take up the entire 2-page spread like a Hobonichi calendar would, but I do think you still have enough space to write, and you have these really wide margins in case you wanted to add anything else. So for this page, I think I'm just going to use it like a normal monthly calendar. I really am not creative in the monthlies. I really only know how to use it as a monthly. So while this isn't my planner, I still do think that I'm going to just put in events and appointments in here like I would if it was a planner. And then maybe like after the month is done, I'll go back in with pictures and, fill in gaps and, jot down things that were particularly like meaningful in the month. I really like the idea of the photo a day that a lot of people do, but I just do not take enough photos to do that. I am horrible at taking pictures, so that's just not something I realistically see myself being able to do. Not that like I don't want to do it, if that makes sense. I also think it's really nice because, as you're gonna see when we flip through November, my memory keeping spreads are very busy, and that's not a bad thing because that's how I want them to turn out, but it does make it a little bit hard to, like, if you're trying to find something specific that you're not sure exactly when it happened, it can be a little bit tricky to find those in the weekly. So having a monthly spread like this where you can like easily find when something happened is something that I think will come in handy as I'm looking back on these in like future years. So you do get from December of 2023 all the way through obviously the end of 2024, and then you also get 3 extra months, but I am not going to be using the 3 extra months as monthly spreads. I have repurposed them, which we're going to see right now. So first, in the January 2025 spread, I have used this as a swatch page. I need these in every planner or book that I'm using. And even if a planner is using like the same paper type as a different planner, I still don't trust it. So this needs to be in every spread, or sorry, every book that I am using. So in the actual calendars, I've split each calendar box into 4 sections. And then I just wrote down every Tombow number that exists and then went over and highlighted the ones that I own. And then here in the larger margins, these are all of my mild liners. And then on the February, I just have some blotting paper here because I was obviously swatching inks. But this spread is for my fountain pen inks. And then over here, I will have a log of like currently inked. It's not like a monthly currently inked like a lot of people do. A lot of my pens stay inked for longer than a month. But as I ink a pen, I will write down the date it was inked, the pen, and the ink. And this will also help me see how different inks look in different pens, because I have found that some of my pens ink looks darker, some of it looks lighter. So having that here will also be like not only a reference of when pens were inked, but how pens behave with certain inks all in one place. And then over here are swatches of all of the inks that I own. They're very loosely arranged by color family, but any swatches that have these dots, which I made using the Zig Clean Color dot pens, those are bottles, and then everything else is a sample. If I were to do this over again, I would do it the opposite way, where the dots would be samples so that I can like cross them off when I've used them, but I didn't think about that before I did it, so this is just how it is, and I'm gonna have to come up with another way to mark when like I use up a sample. Yeah, I really like the way this turned out. So I used the sandwich bag method to swatch these inks and get these like really unique blob shapes, and that was something that I learned from Karina of Karina Loves to Plan. If you're into fountain pens, you need to be following her because she has amazing fountain pen content, so highly recommend. I will link her down below. When you swatch things in this manner, they do bleed through. Even though this is 68 GSM to my river paper instead of the 52, it will still bleed through. So on the next spread, I am doing a year in washi spread, which is basically just a place for me to put the little like rips or like offcuts of washi that like you have to tear off and then you don't know what to do with. I'm just gonna put them all here. And then not only will it cover up where like different inks bled through, but then at the end of the year, I'll have like this collage of all of the washi tapes that were used in this planner. So like I can look and just see like all of the tapes that I use. And I think that it's going to be super cool at the end of the year. And it already looks cool now, I think, at least. So like imagining like the entire page filled up is going to be really cool in my opinion. So after that, we get straight into the weeklies. And this is what the layout of the B6 Take a Note is. As you can see, it's very different than the week on 4 pages in the A5 and A6 books. Here it's just a week on 2 page, and it's not even like a true vertical weekly. Like you do have Monday through Sunday here at the top, and with these like dividing lines here, you can kind of like delineate when each day like technically ends and like where the columns would be if there were a line, but there isn't, which makes this layout super versatile in my opinion. You can basically do whatever you want. I know a lot of people disregard timelines, and in my opinion, this is even easier to disregard. And something really unique about this planner that I have actually found in the month and change that I've been using this planner that I really, really love is that this planner has 2mm grid. And you're probably thinking that is so small, and you're so right. My handwriting is small, but it's not small enough to write in 2mm grid. And I think that's like the expectation with how they set this planner up, is that you're going to use 2 grid spaces, which is what I do. I cannot tell if this is focusing. I really hope it is. So you can see here the 2mm grid, and with the way that like even these lines have been set up, you can very easily tell that they expect you to use 2. But something that I have found with this grid that is kind of a game changer is that like when you're writing and using 2 grid spaces and you want to like start a new paragraph or, you know, a line break, but when you have like a 4mm or a 5mm grid and you jump a line, it's like a huge space. But with this, you can just jump a 2mm grid and then start using the next like set of 2 grids, and you have like what essentially equals like add space after paragraph in Word. So like instead of hitting enter on the keyboard and like having that big space, you just hit enter once and it's like a little bit of extra space. That's what you get here, so that your like words aren't butting up against each other. And I have found that so helpful just aesthetically with the way that I like to look at words on a page. And it's something so small, and a bunch of you are probably like, why does that make a difference? But to me, it makes like all the difference in the world. And it's something I really appreciate about this. So since the year starts on a Monday, you do get, you know, starting from the 1st of January and then all the way through to the 5th of January 2025. So you get the last full week of 2024. And then after that, you go straight into a bunch of notes pages. So if we look at the like side view, here's all of your monthlies and here's all of your notes pages. And you can see here that all the pages are numbered even on the weeklies. So your notes pages are going to start on, what is this? 146, and they're going to go all the way to 223. So you get a ton of notes pages in this planner, which is something that I think is really cool. So on the first notes pages here, in true Nicole fashion, if you've been here for any amount of time, you'll know I have to have my sports schedules. I'm a big Pittsburgh sports fan and Ohio State sports person. So I always have schedules in my planner, and I journal a lot about sports, if you're unfamiliar. But so I have the Steelers schedule for 2023 and the Penguins schedule for 2023 into 2024. And I decided to include the NFL schedule just because I did start using this planner in November, so it made sense to include it. So I just printed these out and taped them in. And then directly after that, I have my first like true spread that I set up in the notes pages, which is my 2024 sports recap. I set up something very similar to this last year in one of the extra monthlies in the A5, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I really like the layout of this more. So I just have all the sports that I like to follow, and then any sort of event or record that I'm interested in, I have it written down here. And then as the year goes on, I will write the result of each of these in here. And then as for decoration, in the front pages, I used like that same washi throughout all of the opening spreads, but the notes pages back here, like it's every spread for themselves. Use whatever I want, whenever I want, essentially. So, and then this next spread is a combination of a letter to my future self and then also a then and now spread. So on this side, probably around New Year's Eve, I will sit down and write a letter to myself about maybe things that I want to grow in or accomplish in 2024. Maybe it's going to be a reflection on 2023. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I will write that closer to the end of the year. And then over here is a then and now spread. So I got this idea from Jashi Corinne, who is a bullet journal content creator on YouTube. I really enjoy her content. She has so many good ideas. So essentially what this is going to be is a bunch of prompts, and then you write down, you know, the answer to the prompt at the beginning of 2024 and at the end of 2024. So I haven't picked out exactly what the prompts are going to be. I just have these categories. So personal are going to be things like my address, my rent, you know, my salary, my job, that kind of thing. Social is going to be for social media in particular, so mainly like follower counts and video counts. And then lifestyle is basically everything else, like my favorite song, TV show, food, that kind of thing. So my next spread I also got from Trashy Corinne, which is my 101 things in 1001 days. So obviously 1001 days exceeds the lifespan of this planner, but I still wanted to keep it in here. And then, you know, after this journal runs its course, I will transfer over to new ones. But this essentially is like a big bucket list. So you just write down 101 things that you want to do in 1001 days, as the title implies. And 1001 days is about 2.75 years. So I'm going to start this challenge on the first of the year. And I started to write out a list of things, but obviously I still have a lot to go. That's this one. I love like the blackout with the gel pen on top. I think it looks really cool, like with the smiley faces and everything. So yeah, love that. And then next we have my current events spread. So I 100% stole this idea from Natasha of Natasha in Your Phone. If you are not following her, you definitely need to. I'll link her down below. She has so many good ideas. And this one, I was watching one of her videos and saw her basically set up this spread exactly the same way. And I was like, I need to do that immediately. And then I did it. So I think this is a really good spread because it's set up alphabetically instead of chronologically. So you don't have to worry about like forgetting something, which is something that I struggle with because my journaling style is very me-centered, which sounds kind of bad, but everything is like through how it affects me because I'm journaling about my own personal experiences, which is fine and which is what I want it to be, but that means that I tend to lose sight of like world events, and like while something big might happen in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna make it into my weekly spread. So that's why I wanted to put this spread in here, and I think it's gonna be really helpful. So very happy with that. And I made this like Dutch door situation that I really like, and you're gonna see it makes another appearance because I was like kind of obsessed with it when I made it. So yeah, love that. And then next, we have probably one of my favorite spreads in this setup, which is the Tweet Hall of Fame. This is very simple, I think, compared to like the spreads that we just saw, but I am like so obsessed with it. And this is something that I've wanted to do for a while because Twitter is kind of a mess. Yeah, it's just, ever since Elon took over, the quality of the social media platform has decreased immensely just in terms of like user friendliness and whatnot. But I maintain that the funniest people in the world are on Twitter. It is just the funniest social media platform to me. So no matter how close it seems the ship is to sinking, I will be on the boat until it goes down. But what I'm worried about is that once it does go down, I'm not going to have those like funny tweets that I saw and are in my liked tweets and whatnot because, you know, the app like won't exist anymore. So I wanted to have a place to like start keeping those because honestly at any day this app could just like disappear. So those are where those are going to go. And it's also a good place because I do include those already in the weekly section if it's a particularly like topical tweet. But sometimes like, you know, with space constraints, not everything makes it in. So this is also a place where like those overflow tweets that I already printed out have a place to go instead of me having to just like throw them away or forget about them. And then I have a blank spread and I don't know why, but it's here and I'll add something eventually. And then the last spread that I set up here is my Spotify Wrapped spread. And I love this spread. It's another one of those Dutch door spreads. And I have basically from when I started premium Spotify. So I had Spotify before 2017, but it wasn't premium. So the Wrapped wasn't entirely accurate because without premium, you can't like pick songs to listen to. You have to listen to things on shuffle and your skips were restricted. So I don't really consider that to be real. So I started in 2017 and it's going to go all the way through the end of 2024 when that Wrap comes out. And basically what I did was just copy down the first 30 songs in my like top songs of the year. And I still have to fill out 2021 to 2023. But while I was filling this out, my hand hurt so bad. And I was like, I have a year to finish this, so I'm just going to do it later. So that's why this isn't filled out yet, but it will be. So that wraps up basically the end of the notes pages. I still have quite a few left. I have up until page 203 and we're on page 166. And what I plan on using these for as the year goes on is overflow from the weekly sections. So this is obviously a big downsize in space from what I was previously using, which means that a lot of things, if not completely cut out of this spread, are not maybe elaborated to the extent that I would have in the A5 take a note. I can do like a whole spread for that event or that week, or I can do like an extra additional supplementary spread back here. And like as those come up, that's probably what most of these pages will be. So when things just simply don't fit in the weeklies, they can go back here. Starting from the back, I set up November and December of 2023 back here. So this size I've never used before. I've never used B6. So I wanted to kind of get a feel for honestly whether this was possible, you know, to be able to fit a week on 2 pages in B6. So what I did was I set up the weekly layout back here and just started using it starting in November. And I love it. Like this, I feel like B6 week on 2 pages is the perfect size for the energy I have to give to it. And I'm just really happy with all of the spreads that I've done so far. And they're some of the ones I'm most proud of. I'm gonna show you one near the end of November that is like my favorite spread that I have ever made in any journal, in any layout. So yeah, very, very smitten with everything about this planner, honestly. And I'm really, really excited to move into it officially, like using the pre-printed weeklies in January. And I've just kind of felt this, not only contentment, but also like excitement and, you know, and like even when I might have less energy to give to something like this, like I still want to. And that's something that I feel like I've kind of been missing. And I'm so happy to have found it in this particular planner. So this was the week of October 30th through the 5th. And in this one, you can see that I drew in, obviously I drew in everything because this wasn't a pre-printed layout, but if it were, I would have drawn in these vertical lines. And I added this timeline washi from Sterling Ink to make it a true vertical weekly. And yeah, this is very like reminiscent of when I was in a Hobonichi Cousin too. And that like brings me back. And what I loved about that and like the compact B6 size, which is awesome. And this was a really busy week because I had a couple of days off from work and they were actually like pretty busy, which is usually not the case for me. I tend to live what I call a very modest, boring life, honestly. But I had a lot going on. So instead of doing a traditional vertical weekly, I just sort of put things in around when they happened and really gave myself like more space to journal about things that I felt were more important rather than like giving each day equal space, if that makes sense. So, and that's something that's really awesome about this layout is that it is so versatile. Not that you couldn't do that in a traditional weekly, but it's like nice that like you don't have to work around that. You can just do whatever you want, if that makes sense. So this is my favorite weekly that I've ever done. I love looking at this. It makes me so happy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this spread in like ways that I can't explain. I just think it looks so good. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know. I think I like that it's so busy. Like Something I've also learned is that in the B6 size, I'm like kind of allergic to white space. Like I want something everywhere. This is so packed, but it's also like in a way that makes sense to me and that is just very visually pleasing, and I'm really, really happy with this one. And then this is the next week, which I didn't entirely finish because this was the week of Thanksgiving. So it was a lot of things going on with like family stuff. So like Thanksgiving was on a Thursday, and then on the weekend I was like hanging out with friends. So there wasn't a lot of time, especially because I typically tend to journal on the weekends and I had stuff to do. But I do really like the way it's coming together, and I definitely will come back and finish this. But yeah, not done. And then I guess I will show you the next one too, because it technically is also part of November. But I did switch the color scheme to like what I'm going to be using in December. But this is also another one of my favorite spreads. I think it looks so good. I don't know. Sometimes I feel weird saying that, like, oh my gosh, my spread looks so good, but like I think it looks so good. And I'm just really, really happy that this size is working out so well. And I don't know. I really like it. But yeah, I realized as I went through this, I did not say where a ton of things were from, but like I said, everything will be linked if I can find it. But yeah, that is how I have been and plan to use the B6 Take a Note as my creative journal. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. If you enjoyed this, I really appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up or subscribe to this channel if you want to. Sometime over the break, I hit 2,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing, especially because I don't think I've uploaded a video in literally 6 months. So thank you guys all for being here. Even if you're not subscribed, if you're just watching this video and you've made it to the end of this, what I'm assuming is a very long, rambly video, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. But yeah, that's all I have for today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.